It's fascinating how the geopolitical landscape shifts over time, isn't it? I mean, when we look at the dynamics between Russia, Turkey, and China, and their potential support for Iran amid its conflict with Israel, it's really a puzzle where the pieces keep changing. So let's try to break it down a bit. Imagine these countries, like players in a game of chess. They're contemplating their moves carefully, assessing not just the immediate implications, but the long-term consequences as well.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. So, is this support you're talking about more about strategy or about actual friendships between these countries? I mean, do they share any common interests that would tie them together in this conflict?
Absolutely, that's a great question. It's a mix of both strategy and shared interests. For instance, Russia has been historically aligned with Iran due to their mutual distrust of Western influence, particularly from the United States. It's like when you're at a party and you find someone who also can't stand the DJ playing the same old hits. You bond over that shared frustration, and that's how they work together. They find common ground in their opposition to Western hegemony.
Oh, wow, I love that analogy. Haha, and I guess it kind of makes sense then. They're all like, hey, let's take down the DJ together. But what about Turkey? I thought they were a NATO member and, somewhat aligned with the West? How do they fit into this equation?
Spot on. Turkey's situation is indeed complex. They've had a tumultuous relationship with both the West and Iran. Imagine a seesaw. In 1 minute, they lean toward the West, and in another, they tip over to engage with Iran. They share economic ties, and during certain crises, Turkey has found itself more aligned with Iran. So in the context of a conflict with Israel, Turkey's support might come from a historical and regional perspective, rather than a strict alliance.
That's super intriguing. So it's like a balancing act? But does that potentially risk isolating them from the rest of NATO? What would the consequences be for one of their key alliances if they fully backed Iran?
Exactly. It's a high-wire act. If Turkey were to fully support Iran, they could face backlash not only from NATO allies, but also from their own citizens who might not support an aggressive stance against Israel. Think of it like walking on ice. One misstep could plunge them into a lot of geopolitical turbulence. They have to weigh the potential fallout carefully, not just the immediate benefits of aligning with Iran, but also the long-term implications for their relationships with other powers.
Oh man, no pressure, right? Haha. But what about China? I've seen them, expanding their influence everywhere, especially in the Middle East. Do they see Iran as a valuable ally in this situation, or is it more about economic interests?
You're getting it. China's interest in Iran is fundamentally rooted in economic strategy, particularly with their Belt and Road Initiative. They want access to energy resources and trade routes. So it's not so much about being buddies, but rather a calculated partnership. For China, supporting Iran could mean tapping into oil resources and establishing influence in the region. They're always playing the long game, like a poker player holding onto their cards until just the right moment.
Ooh, that's a cool way to think about it. It's like they're waiting for the right moment to cash in on their chips. But with all three of these countries possibly backing Iran, doesn't that risk escalating the conflict? And how could that affect global politics?
Precisely. The more support Iran receives from these powers, the more emboldened it may feel to act against Israel, which could spiral into a greater regional conflict, likened to igniting fireworks in a dry forest. If global powers start picking sides, we could see a real realignment of geopolitical alliances that might have ramifications worldwide. Think of it as tectonic plates shifting that could lead to unexpected earthquakes in international relations.
Wow, that's a vivid picture you painted there, haha. I mean, do you think this tension might lead to other countries getting involved in the mix, beyond just Russia, Turkey, and China?
That's a strong possibility. Other nations in the region, as well as Western allies, will certainly be watching closely. If tensions escalate, countries like Saudi Arabia or even European powers might feel compelled to take a stance, tipping the scales even further. It's like a domino effect. Once one starts to fall, others may soon follow. and the global implications could become quite complicated.
Yes. It's like trying to control a chain reaction. This is such a fascinating subject. So, do you think these dynamics could lead to a new major war, or is it more likely to be a series of smaller conflicts? Like, what's your take on the best case and worst case scenarios?
You're pulling on some deep threads here. The best-case scenario would involve diplomatic engagement, countries realizing that a full-blown conflict would be mutually detrimental. But the worst-case scenario, could spiral into a regional war that pulls in various outside powers, creating a chaotic landscape that nobody wants. It's really a delicate balance, a constant negotiation between war and peace, with each country weighing their options.
Damn, talk about high stakes, haha, this is so gripping. So how can we bring awareness to these situations? Or is it all just fate at this point?
Great question. Awareness is key. Engaging in dialogue, promoting education about international relations, and understanding the implications of these conflicts are crucial. It's not just about fate. It's about actively participating in shaping policies and fostering the understanding needed to prevent drastic situations. It's a shared responsibility, just like maintaining balance on that seesaw we talked about.
Haha, true, very true. This has been, super enlightening. I love diving into these big topics with you.